Hey guys, and welcome back to another video. Hope you are okay on that side of the screen. And today to take a look at the Xiaomi Imilab W12, which is right over here. And spoiler alert is that, in my opinion, this is a really nice budget smartwatch, but it has some limitations. And so that we can do a educated purchase, we will have to dig in a little bit deeper, which we will in this video.
To the other side, my love. You say you wanna try, but you never do. Sugar, there's a reason why we lose.
And we are back. So starting with this smartwatch itself, design, build quality, the way that it looks and the way that it feels, it's really nice. If you ask me, hey Robert, is it worth it for the price that it costs? I would say immediately yes, and I will leave a link down below so that you guys can check the price and specs and so on. But it's not just looks, we have more things that we need to take. But in terms of the screen, for example, it's almost a infinity screen. It has a really nice style, and it's not as classic as the one that I use, which is the Zip Z, which is a lot more classic and a lot more expensive, but it is really interesting. I'm using it at the same time as the Amazfit GTS 2E, and I will publish the review in just a couple of days. But the truth is that the style, it's better than this one, but the way that it works, now in terms of waterproof, it is IP68. It has a lot of watch faces, but one limitation is that we can only download one each, at least the ones that we want. It has 4 or 5 by default, but the one that we choose to download, every time we want to choose, we will need to download it again. The graphics on the main menu and all the other sub menus are just awesome, and that is just great. Everything seems nice, the graphics, the fonts. But there is one thing, which is when we go to some sub menus, and probably you can see right over there, don't even need a B-roll, the fonts are just weird. The graphic of the fonts, we can see the pixels, so this doesn't make sense, and hopefully they can fix this via firmware to put fonts that match the fonts used on other menus. This really doesn't look good. In terms of the brightness of the watch, is more than enough so that we can see outside, and I did use it in several ways and had no issues at all. And one thing that I would love him to do is to wake up with a touch. We like some other watches that I use, but it doesn't have that feature at all. Now let's start talking about the capabilities and the features. Now in terms of the heart rate measure in a relaxed way, it measures quite well, and the footages that I did record were this morning, and it were about 2 hours after a 13 kilometers trail, so have in mind that the values are a bit high, but nonetheless, when we are relaxed, quite spot on compared with a chest strap that I have and also other smartwatches. Now on the other hand, when we are doing sports and we are going on higher intensity levels, then that's a different story, and I would say that 70% of the time, more or less, it will work just fine, but there will be 30% of the times that the values will not give us the reality. They will give us things completely off. This morning I did another trail of 13 kilometers, and I was watching both along with my chest strap, and sometimes the W12 gave me 175 beats per minute, when in reality I was between 140 and 150, so nothing to do with the reality. And I did test out on the treadmill compared with my chest strap, right hand, left hand, so have in mind that there will be certain times that you will be a little bit frustrated, especially if you practice some sports. In terms of the oximeter, or SpO2, it's one of the best that I've seen so far. Actually, when I did the unboxing for the Portuguese channel, what happened was that he started to measure immediately with my fingers, and I was really impressed with that. And what I can say is that it works really well. I'll give you more details when we see the app in just a few moments, but it's one of the best so far. Now, moving to sports, which is one of the things that I love to do with these gadgets. If you are on a walking trend, you will be fine, because in terms of steps, the watch really measures them well. But that is the watch. I was comparing with the GTS 2E for this past week, and at the end of the day, when we look at one and when we look at the other one, and when I did the 14K trail, I finished the day with 20 something thousand steps, and the difference between one and the other was about 1,000 steps, which I would say that the truth is probably on the middle. But on the other hand, the app will give us an information which is not really accurate, because the app will separate the sports from the steps. And the best example that I can give you is with Amazfit. If I'm jogging for 10k and then I give more 10k walking and something like that, they sum up everything. At the end of the day, they will register on the app that I did, I don't know, 20,000 steps. This one right over here now, it will subtract the steps that I did from the jogging session, and it will show me only the steps that I did while walking. Yes, it is frustrating, but it is accurate. Now, moving to the treadmill, what happens is that it is really accurate. I was really happy with the results. Now, it gave me on average, when I do my daily session of 5k, 30 minutes more or less, it had a deviation of 300 meters more or less compared with the treadmill, with my phone and GTS 2E. So for a watch that doesn't have the ability like some other watches to select how many kilometers we did so that you can calibrate, it works really well. Now, running outside, the result is not bad at all as well, having in mind that it doesn't have a GPS. So we will not track the map, it will not give you some fancy maps and so on and so forth. But in terms of distance, it was not bad. I'll give you the example that I did last week. I did a trail of almost 14k trial, actually semi-trial, and I had a deviation of 1 kilometer compared to my phone and compared to the GTS 2E. So that is just great in my opinion for a smartwatch that doesn't have any GPS. Usually when they don't have GPS, what happens is that the deviation is a lot bigger, but in this case it wasn't. Now, if this is acceptable for you or not, I'm not really sure, because it will depend on the distances that you do. And here you will have to do your math. 13 kilometers, it will have 1 kilometer of deviation. If you do 26, it will have 2 kilometers. If you do 5 or 6, it will have about 500-600 meters deviation. And the experience has been great so far, with the exception of today. Today I did another 13k trial run. I didn't record any footages today, but what happened was I was about with 10 kilometers already done, and suddenly it starts to vibrate, and when it vibrates, it gives me a message that I didn't saw because I was concentrated on my jogging session, and I just pressed the button and I thought, okay, the exercise just finished by whatever reason, started another exercise while running, and I thought, okay, when I arrive home I will have 2 exercises and I will sum up and it will be fine. But that wasn't the whole picture, because when I arrived I had some difficulties in connecting to the app. Well, he actually connected, but it didn't update the exercises. I had one value of steps which were completely wrong on the watch, and I had another value on the app. I did reboot the smartwatch, did reboot the phone, and so on and so forth, tried everything, and lastly what solved was to do a reset on the smartwatch, which then paired with the phone and solved this issue. So today I don't have any registry of the exercise that I did. This is something that you have to have in mind, that it happened to me, it might happen to you. In terms of biking, I went for a session, and what I can tell you is that the data that will give us, it's only calories and the heart rate monitor, and that is it. By the way, in terms of sports, you have a lot of sports to choose from, but they all will give you the same thing, which is heart rate and calories, with the exception of running and mountain hiking. Those are the ones that will measure your steps, distance, and things like that. All the others are the same, with the difference that they will give us a different icon on the app, but the difference in terms of the data, it's not there. In terms of sleeping, it will measure all right if you are someone that has a regular sleep. If you fall asleep, you don't wake up during the night and then wake up, that is it. It will measure quite well. And this happens to me most of the nights. I sleep around 6 hours, 5 hours and something, and I will show you in the app just a few moments. But if you are someone that wakes up a few times during the evening, then the result will not be that accurate. For example, last night I did wake up roughly 3 o'clock in the morning. I went to take my kid to sports tournament, to the bus station, and when I arrived home I wasn't ready to sleep, so I watched some TV. Took about 2 hours or so, and the watch didn't catch that. So here it is, one of these scenarios that it will not measure accurate compared to other smartwatches like the GTS 2E that will do a great job right over there. And we are comparing two completely different prices, but this is the truth. In terms of battery, they state 30 days on standby, 14-15 days using it, and I would say that if you will do sport one day yes, one day no, you will get around 10 days easily. In my particular case, which I'm doing every single day, using the watch and touching it and using it and so on and so forth, I did drain the battery in 7 days, 1 week. Okay, now let's take a look at the app, which in my opinion is the weakest point of the smartwatch. Now, this is the front panel, that, or the home page as you want to call it. At the top it has the steps that we have made so far, which it's not the truth. I done today roughly 16,000, and I had to reset, and it was with 7,000, so that was the problem that I was mentioning. If I press, it will show me today, and if I go back, it will show me the day of yesterday, and so on and so forth. So it will register the days and the steps that I given by week or monthly, and of course I'm only testing it for 1 week, so I only have that data. And then right over here we have the sleep, and this I probably already showed you compared to the GTS 2E that did get the results. And then we have the heart rate monitor right over here. At this moment is showing 83 beats per minute on a resting state, something like that. And then it has the scale right over here, the percentage that I was on each of these. If I go 1 day earlier, it will show me 77 right over here, 13, 8, 2, and so on. So not bad, this one right over here. In terms of the SpO2 or oxygen levels on our blood, if we go to yesterday for example, it has a weird value right over, as you can see it peaks here, it shows 94% hypoxia right over here, which I doubt, but it is right over here. Say that they are pretty accurate, and it is really fast, one of the fastest that I've seen so far in this range. Actually, even more expensive smartwatches that I've used don't have a oximeter so accurate as this one. Not meaning just the levels, but the quickness that he has on measuring. It is really, really nice. Then we have the sports right over here. We have walking, running, biking, and so on and so forth. So if I go to the running, as you can see, I don't have any registration for today. Today is the 13th, this is the 12th, I have no registration at all. But let's take a look right over here on the 7th of November. If I press it, this was the trail that I did, 13 point something kilometers, so 1 kilometer deviation, and it will give us this data right over here. And the same will happen when I do my treadmill sessions. It will give me this information, which in my opinion is more than enough. It has a graphic right over here with my heart rate monitoring, and that is it. Now if I go to the bicycle, it only has one session that I did. This was 15 kilometers if I'm not mistaken, and right over here it only show me the heart rate monitor and also the calories that I did spend, calculated calories more or less. But this is it, and this is the data that you will have to have in mind, that will be displayed on every other sport that you do, except with the mountain hiking, which will be the same as running. We'll give you that data. So let's go back. We don't have more to see right over here. This is the bike, rope climbing, rope jumping, sorry, and that's about it. If I go to the device, it will show me the dashboard, which will have the watch faces available right over here. I did download 3 which are here, but if I want to use one of these, I will have to synchronize through the app. It's not able to record more than one. It only saves one at the time. Here it has 4 or 5 by default, but that's about it. If we go back, we have the heart rate configuration, and then the SPO configuration right over here. We can put, I have 1 hour, but we can put a minimum of 10 minutes to measure every 10 minutes. Don't forget that every single situation that we do right over here, it will drain the battery a bit faster, so have that in mind. And then we have The other configurations, the notifications and so on and so forth, it doesn't change to English because I've got the system in Portuguese, but it should. But basically this is it, and then we have my profile right over here with the steps that I want to achieve every single day. But the configuration is really basic. So the app is, in my opinion, once again, the weakest point of this smart. Honestly, in my opinion, it's worth it, having in consideration the price that it costs, which I will leave a link down below, and the build quality, the design, everything that we have mentioned. It's just awesome. But the truth is that it could be better if the app was more complete, if the app was more accurate, if the app didn't have this kind of issues of communication with the watch, which I only had in a space of 1 week once. And that is it. In my opinion, it is a really nice watch that if they improve the app, will be a great watch at a awesome price. That being said, hope that the video was helpful in some way, and if it was, don't forget that usual thumbs up right over there. My name is Roberto, and as always, I'll see you guys on the next one.